want to talk to you a little bit about communication skills. It might seem a topic that you think, well, why do I need help to communicate? It's something that I've done ever since I was a child. We speak to each other. But there is a skill involved in communicating with people. They say that only about 6% of what we perceive is by the spoken word. The rest of what we pick up is by body language, the intonation, the tone of voice that somebody has, and also sometimes the aura that somebody gives off. I don't know whether you've ever walked into a room and somebody's had their back to you, but you've known straight away that they're in a bad mood even before you saw their face. So there's a lot of things, that are little messages that are sent out that we can pick up on, and these things are important if you want to have successful communication. Firstly, when you are talking to somebody, it's important to make eye contact with them. Not constantly staring in their eyes, because that can be a bit intimidating, but actually holding their gaze, and if they're speaking to you, showing signs that you are listening. So perhaps when they're talking, nodding your head at appropriate times, or saying, yes, I hear what you're saying, I can understand that. It's important not to sort of allow your concentration to drift. It's easy to sort of start looking around the room or getting your phone out and checking your emails. And that really isn't very helpful, because the person feels that you're not valuing them. One of the skills that they use in a type of work called neuro-linguistic program is what they call mirroring. And this is if the person is sitting with you and they use a certain way of sitting, say if they sit like this, sometimes it can be quite helpful if you strike a similar pose, because then they feel that you're in tune with each other. Be careful not to overdo this though, because it can look a little bit fake if you're copying every single move they make. But it can be quite helpful if you use the same terminology as well. If they say, I feel that this is what's happening, then if you use the same sort of language, rather than saying, I hear this, or it sounds to me as if, because that is using a different part of the person's understanding of the world. So if they tap into their feelings, it's helpful for you to tap into that as well, so that you're both on the same page. It's very important to listen to what the other person's saying and feed back what you think that they've said, because it isn't always what they meant. So just to clarify, when they've said something, just say, what I think you're saying is this, and then repeat back what your understanding is, and say, is that right? Have I got this right? Before you feed back to them. Again, don't do it at the end of every sentence, otherwise it becomes a little bit fake and a little bit like a parrot feeding back. But it can be quite useful just to clarify situations. When you are with somebody, it's useful to also try not to fidget all the time. It can be quite distracting if you're sort of tapping your foot or twiddling with your fingers. So just try and get yourself into that place of calm, where you're focusing on the person and what it is that you're wanting to say. If it's something that is, say, an important meeting, then make a few notes before you go in, just so that you can keep yourself on track and make sure that you get the salient points across, and you don't come away from the meeting feeling disappointed because you didn't say the things that you really wanted to say. It's also quite helpful to make notes of what the other person's saying, because they can come up with some really good ideas as well, and you don't want those to get lost in amongst all the other parts of the conversation. So these are just a few hints of things that you can do to help your communications to go a little bit smoother.